Have you at any point asked why individuals you empty your heart into appear to overlook you as though your sentiments have no esteem? How frequently in your life have you been treated by others as a choice instead of a need? Imagine a scenario where in this video you could find how to invert what is happening also. Cause everybody to go after your consideration from now on. Your life and joy are as well significant to squander on individuals who don't value your value. In this video we will introduce 10 rules that will change you into an attractive individual that everybody will need to be around. Prepare for a transformation in your connections and figure out how to turn into an overwhelming force that nobody can disregard except for previously. We start. Try to like this video. What's more, buy into the feed initiating notices so you don't miss any of our new lessons. We should begin. Rule number 1: cause individuals to feel they could lose you perpetually. In Buddhist way of thinking, there is a profound comprehension of significant worth and fleetingness. Individuals frequently don't esteem something promptly accessible even in the event that it is very significant anyway. When the apprehension about misfortune seems, they start to see the genuine worth of what they have. Envision yourself as somebody without whom others can't envision their lives. Your absence would make a colossal void that no other person could fill. You are not simply a choice, you are their definitive need. In Buddhism, we discover that valid esteem comes from inside. You owe it to others that your reality doesn't rotate exclusively around them. You are unbelievably autonomous, confident, and complete on your own. Your life is a full experience free of the presence of others. Fearlessness and independence are attractive. Individuals need to be important for your world since they realize it is an honor, not a right. You bring unrivaled worth to their lives that they can't get enough of when they comprehend that you are not simply one more individual looking for their consideration, however an enduring power. They can't fail to remember they will begin treating you distinctively. In Buddhism, as in life, there's actually no need to focus on pursuing affection or asking for consideration. About being an individual motivates others to pursue you. Your worth is clear and irrefutable. Let them feel the anxiety toward losing you and cause them to endeavor for your consideration. Make them esteem you. Recollect you are an Zen expert. In addition to a player in the game, your presence is more important than they can envision, and they can't stand to lose you. Resemble a savvy, confident sage brimming with internal strength and unflinching standard. Number 2: don't be accessible for each. Bring in the way of thinking of harmony. The worth of life and time is well established. The most significant things on the planet are not generally accessible at each second and place. Your accessibility ought to be restricted to feature the worth of your significant investment. Never permit individuals to feel they can call or meet with you whenever they wish. Your time is significant. Furthermore, your life ought to be vital. Envision this: you are not sitting around idly for others all the time. Your life does not spin exclusively around them. You have your own reality that you appreciate, and they are lucky to be a piece of it. In Buddhism, we discover that each second is important and ought to be lived to its fullest. Your presence is a gift, and your accessibility ought to be viewed as something exceptional. So how would you accomplish this? Find balance. Don't be the individual who is continuously sitting tight for a message or accessible. Consistently show them that your time and consideration are significant. Individuals are normally drawn to those who have their own advantages and plans. At the point when they understand you are not simply sitting at home, it will ignite their interest in the Buddhist educating of separation. It's fundamental not exclusively to isolate from material things, yet additionally from answering each call from others. This makes space for a more profound comprehension of oneself and the improvement of inward concordance. When you are not accessible for each call, you create in others a feeling of yearning. Furthermore, they will regard you more, realizing you have your own life and things that are mean quite a bit to you. Continuously being accessible lets them know they can have you at what ever point they need, yet you are not standard, you are somebody worth taking a stab at. There's no need to focus on imagining to be difficult to become. It's tied in with appearing them that you have a day-to-day existence you appreciate with, or on the other hand, without them your worth personally lies in your inward agreement and fearlessness, which are attractive and alluring in the event that you are not consistently accessible. They will appreciate the nature of your time and comprehend your worth. Don't be generally accessible. Recall your presence is an important gift, and your accessibility ought to be viewed as something particularly amazing. By making this space you assemble more careful and deferential connections that enhance not just your life yet in addition that of others. Rule number 3: don't uncover all that, rather be secretive. In Buddhism, shrewdness frequently comes from the capacity to adjust receptiveness with secret. This rule is reflected in numerous Buddhist lessons and anecdotes. One of the fundamental objectives of Buddhist practice is to comprehend the real essence of reality. Anyway, this process is slow and requires tolerance. Envision you are a serene lake in the mountains. Its surface might appear to be basic and clear, however profound inside lies an abundance of life and secret that those willing to contribute time and consideration can uncover. Individuals are attracted to what is obscure just as moths are drawn to the moonlight in basically the same manner. In the Buddhist practice of consideration, don't uncover everything quickly to other people. Develop your internal space and permit others to find it continuously. During a discussion, uncover pieces of your character gradually, like a Buddhist priest offering insight to an understudy. Step by step, let your contemplations, dreams, and encounters resemble pages in a book of intelligence, significant and worth finding in any case, calling for investment and persistence to completely comprehend secret. Interest and fascination. Similarly as reflection prompts further understanding and internal harmony. When others can't predict each move you cause, they to turn out to be more taken part in getting to realize you, like understudies trying to dig further into their instructor's lessons. Recollect you haven't arrived to be very easy to read with everything about plain sight. You are a complex and charming individual, with a one-of-a-kind profundity to be found by keeping up with certain his you make. Others want your presence in their lives. Similarly, as Buddhist experts look to figure out life's secret bits of insight through reflection, and reflection become a conundrum that moves. Profound reflection and internal change. Rule number 4: be important and permit others to put resources into you. In Buddhist way of thinking, likewise with this rule, attention to our own worth and the way we permit others to connect with us is key. Buddhism instructs that each being has inherent worth, much the same as a valuable diamond concealed inside every one of us. Finding this worth requires practice, commitment, and persistence, both with oneself and with others. Envision that you are an important pearl, like the figurative pearl in the shell discussed by the Buddha. Your value doesn't lie in being effectively open, however, in motivating others to devote time and work to reveal your real essence. Thusly, not just do they benefit, however, you moreover build up your place in their lives. Individuals esteem what contribute their feelings and time, and this is like the Buddhist act of reflection and consideration. The more energy you commit to your profound excursion, the more you esteem the insight and harmony accomplished by permitting others to put resources into you. Make a bond and light of common regard. Furthermore, esteem you become something beyond a temporary interruption. You become a necessary piece of their lives, worth putting time and exertion into. Recollect you haven't arrived to ask for cons I'd ration or love you are here to illustrate your inward worth and allowed others to perceive how important you are as a companion, accomplice, or partner. As the Buddhist guideline of relationship recommends, your presence can advance others' lives, yet at something very similar time they should endeavor to comprehend and value that esteem. Give them the space to contribute time, feelings, and energy in acquiring you in this way. Similarly, as in Buddhist practice, the two players gain a more profound comprehension. Furthermore, more grounded bonds be somebody they can't try not to put resources into on the grounds that your presence resembles a valuable jewel they can't bear to lose. Similarly, as in Buddhism, one looks for edification through responsibility and practice. You ought to be the individual whose worth is perceived by those able to place in the important work to uncover and develop it. Rule number 5: treat your own requirements as a need. In Buddhist way of thinking, a key component is the act of self-confidence, also really focusing on one's own requirements and prosperity. The establishment is understanding that each being has intrinsic worth and nobility that should be developed and safeguarded. Buddhism instructs that genuine empathy starts with ourselves. In the event that we can't deal with ourselves, we can't really focus on others. Envision you are like a tree that should deal with its underlying foundations and request to give foods grown from the ground to others. By knowing your worth, you give it a second thought for your own necessities and don't acknowledge compromises that could hurt your bliss and confidence. The Buddha instructed that each individual is significant and meriting regard, which implies you should treat yourself with the consideration you merit. In Buddhist practice, contemplation, also mindfulness, help to comprehend what's more. Recognize, perceive your own necessities. By focusing on your prosperity, you make the establishment for solid and conscious connections. In sound connections, whether heartfelt or non-romantic, shared regard and consideration are fundamental. By not making do with less, you express a significant consideration for your internal identity, which is the embodiment of Buddhist practice in adoring benevolence and empathy. Focusing on your requirements is not egotistical, yet a method for rehearsing valid self-esteem. By keeping up with your pride and profound prosperity, you show others that your sentiments and necessities are significant. Buddhism has the idea of the center way, which means adjusting, taking care of oneself without falling into limits of self-centeredness or altruism. By not permitting anybody to disparage your sentiments or question your worth, you manifest solid and sound mindfulness. You are inequivalent in each relationship, and your sentiments and needs are just about as significant as anybody else's. Recall, you haven't arrived to be a mat for other people or look for their endorsement. You are here to encounter solid and conscious connections in view of dignity. By supporting yourself, you emanate a certifiable peacefulness and strength that is incredibly alluring and entrancing to others. Decide. Number 6: recollect that your prosperity and confidence are non-debatable. By focusing on your individual objectives and interests, you practice Buddhist lessons on congruity. Furthermore, balance, making a day-to-day existence loaded up with harmony and valid bliss. Rule number 6: don't make them the focal point of your life. Buddhism trains the need to keep up with balance and stay away from connection. A critical component of this rule is keeping up with your autonomy, also not making somebody the point of convergence of your reality. Individuals are frequently drawn to what they can't have, and this standard makes a feeling of charm. What's more, autonomy in your connections. Envision you are like a star in the night sky, radiating your own light and energy. You don't circle around another person, you have your own circle, your own life and extraordinary interests. In Buddhism, there is the idea of Indra's net, where each pearl mirrors all the others, representing relationship and the uniqueness of each being. You are one of those pearls, significant and autonomous. What's more, Your light is your own embodiment. This is the way you can apply Rule 6 in your life. Try not to concentrate to such an extent consideration on somebody that they become the focal point of your universe. You have your interests, dreams, and independence. Buddhism supports the act of reflection and consideration, which makes a difference. Find and support inner equilibrium also. Self-grasping. This methodology makes a feeling of secret and interest, making others wonder about your reality also. What makes you extraordinary? They will be more drawn to your autonomous soul and feeling of experience. Recall, you haven't arrived to lose your character in someone else. You are here to advance your life while keeping up with your distinction. In Buddhism, there is the idea of the center way, which includes keeping away from limits while keeping up with fundamental balance. By not making others the middle of your life, you become more appealing. What's more powerful, carrying on with a daily existence outside the relationship permits you to proceed, developing, advancing, and bringing a feeling of fervor and freedom into the relationship. This standard advises you that you are finished all alone, and your presence in somebody's life is an important expansion, not a substitute for their satisfaction. Similarly, as the Buddha instructed that every one of us has internal light and intelligence that we should sustain and create, you should likewise protect your exceptional light. Your freedom and complete as an individual make you not just more appealing, yet in addition equipped for building solid, adjusted, and improving connections. Rule number 7. Stop continuously starting discussions. In Buddhist way of thinking, balance and amicable concurrence are key to keeping up with solid connections. This standard relates to viewing as the right balance in correspondence and not generally being the one to step up to the plate. It considers Buddhist lessons, care, and common regard. Envision you are a beacon, not a boat, continuously looking for light. You emanate your presence, giving others the chance to come to you. In Buddhism, there is the idea of sast, which implies situated contemplation, where the professional resists the urge to panic, permitting the world and outside elements to come to them normally. This is a brilliant analogy for this standard. Be available and open, however, don't necessarily endeavor to draw in others. This is the way you can apply Rule 7 even by and by, rather than consistently being quick to connect. Permit the other individual to step up from time to time. This not just shows that you have your own life and interests, yet additionally helps measure the degree of interest from the other individual. In Buddhism, the idea of the middle way advances staying away from limits and keeping up with balance in all everyday issues, including connections. Being the main initiator of correspondence may accidentally send the message that you are generally accessible and ready to do everything for others. There's really no need to focus on playing a game, be that as it may. Keeping up with balance in connections. Buddhist practice in care educates us to know about our activities and responses, as well as keep up with close-to-home equilibrium by infrequently venturing back and permitting them to move toward you. Give them the space to appreciate, value your presence, and perceive your worth. This unobtrusively reminds them that you are a choice as well as somebody who merits exertion and consideration. Buddhism underscores association and common regard in connections. Recollect, you haven't arrived to pursue love or fellowship. You are here to construct connections in light of shared regard. By tracking down this equilibrium in correspondence, you establish a climate where the two players are similarly dedicated, advancing a better and more adjusted relationship. Like a Buddhist signal of care, you become a presence that transmits quiet and strength, drawing others to you not through exertion, but rather through the regular magnificence of your being. What's more, the legitimacy of your presence. Rule number 8. Make your own joy. In Buddhist way of thinking, the focal topic is grasping that satisfaction Tian comes from the inside and doesn't rely upon outer conditions. Rule 8 spins moves around the possibility that satisfaction begins with yourself. It includes being self-guaranteed, content and free, which makes you more alluring according to others. Envision you are a brilliant sun and your bliss doesn't rely upon the presence or activities of others. You sparkle all alone and individuals are attracted to your warmth and energy. In Buddhism there is the idea of sparkling from the inside. Representin individual insight and self-enlightenment. This is the way Rule 8 works. By try not to depend on any other person for your satisfaction, rather make your own. Buddhism instructs that genuine satisfaction comes from inward harmony and congruity. Practices like reflection, consideration and creating care assist with accomplishing this. Express this self-assurance and independence are attractive, making you more alluring to others. Individuals are normally attracted to the individuals who transmit energy and self-affirmation. When you are happy with your life, you become a wellspring of motivation and light that others look for. Furthermore, by making your own satisfaction, you impart that you are not looking for satisfaction from others, yet are a complete and euphoric individual on your own. This approach is appealing on the grounds that it doesn't trouble others with the obligation of your satisfaction. Buddhism underscores understanding our own temperament and self-acknowledgement by raising appreciation and euphoria for other people triumphs. We figure out how to partake in the present second. When you are content with yourself, you can impart that joy to other people, prompting further and more bona fide connections. Recall, you haven't arrived to track down joy in someone else. You are here to share your joy and enhance both your life and theirs. By keeping Guideline 8, you become a powerful presence emanating energy and certainty that draws in others. Prefer a brilliant sun in as such. Similarly, as the Buddha under the Bodhi tree arrived at a condition of internal edification, you accomplish individual joy that not just gives you pleasure, yet additionally rouses what's more, enlightens the way for others. Your joy becomes yours as well as likewise a gift for those around you. Rule number 9, walk away. In Buddhist way of thinking, a urgent angle ECT is figuring out temporariness. Furthermore, the capacity to give up. Rule 9 is about being willing to leave a relationship where you are not esteemed. This standard depends on perceiving that everybody should be in connections where they are valued. What's more, regarded, the capacity to relinquish what doesn't add to your prosperity is fundamental for keeping up with your close-to-home equilibrium and nobility. Buddhism instructs that acknowledgement of temporariness helps us not grip to circumstances or individuals that don't carry energy to our lives. Having the option to leave when important demonstrates strength and taking of oneself, making space for new potential, open doors and connections that really esteem your presence. Sending this strong message shows that you don't settle for short of what you merit, and that sense of pride is non-negotiable. Envision you have the strength and confidence to perceive, and a relationship transport isn't commonly satisfying. In Buddhism, the act of care and thoughtfulness makes a difference. Recognize when connections become hurtful, poisonous, or horrible. You are not frantic to to something that lessens your satisfaction and confidence. Figuring out that all peculiarities are temporary permits you adaptability and ability to change. This is the way to apply Rule 9 in practice. Put down clear stopping points of guidelines with respect to the treatment you anticipate in a relationship. In Buddhism, there is the idea of following moral standards or sila, which keeps up with sound and agreeable connections. If somebody reliably neglects to meet these guidelines, you ought to Leave regardless of how solid your sentiments are for that individual. Leaving doesn't mean being cold-hearted, it implies securing yourself. It is a showing of confidence and a refusal to think twice about your prosperity with somebody who does not esteem you. In Buddhism, self-sympathy is just about as significant as sympathy for others. Being able to leave additionally establishes a climate where the other individual can comprehend the earnestness of the circumstance and understand that they need to try and focus on the off chance that they need you in their lives. Recall, you haven't arrived to frantically stick to connections that try not to serve your joy and confidence. You are here to have solid, what's more, commonly conscious connections. What's more, here and there, that implies areas of strength for being enough to give up when fundamental. And Buddhism, separation is considered a critical stage toward internal harmony and illumination. Rule 10: don't get genuinely connected. In Buddhist wanting, getting it, and rehearsing separation, equanimity, and profound balance are central. This standard underscores the significance of keeping up with profound harmony while endeavoring to be vital in somebody's life. It's about not allowing feelings to rule the circumstance and guaranteeing that your necessities are perceived and focused on. Envision you are like a compass exploring through feelings with effortlessness and certainty. You're close to home. Balance makes it more straightforward for others to focus on your presence in their lives. In Buddhism, accomplishing quiet and inward balance is fundamental. When we are capable to keep up with mental harmony, our associations with others become more agreeable. This is the way to apply Rule 10. Practically speaking, it urges you to view as a balance between communicating your feelings also keeping calm. In Buddhism, the act of contemplation and care develops the capacity to notice your feelings without being overpowered by them, despite the fact that feelings are significant and pertinent. Being unreasonably close to home can here and there eclipse your actual worth. By taking on profound equilibrium, you permit others to figure out your sentiments and necessities without being overpowering. It's tied in with conveying your feelings without making pointless show. Keeping up with your profound equilibrium permits others to see your legitimacy also genuine worth. Working with better also more adjusted connections. Buddhist lessons welcome us communicate our thoughts with insight and compass energy, prompting further understanding and concordance in connections. This approach is appealing on the grounds that it shows you the ability to appreciate individuals at their core and discretion, making it simpler for others to perceive. What's more, focus on your sentiments and presence in their lives. Recollect, by acting this way, you are not smothering your feelings, however communicating them in a way that cultivates understanding. His way to deal with feelings depends on tolerating their presence without permitting them to control our considerations and activities. By observing Guideline 10, you become more successful in imparting your feelings also needs, eventually making it simpler for others to focus on you in their lives. In Buddhism, creating balance is one of the 4 limitless characteristics that lead to agreement and harmony. Rehearsing this standard in connections not just keeps a sound dynamic, however likewise shapes a more profound and more bona fide association with others. To sum up our video today, these 10 principles, motivated by Buddhist insight, guide us to turn into an attractive presence in others' lives, somebody they normally need to focus on. Perceiving that life is temporary, like a lotus bloom on the surface of the water, we figure out how to live in amicability with ourselves and others, making our own joy and keeping up with profound equilibrium is vital to valid fulfillment. Being willing to walk away from connections that don't esteem our value helps us to remember the significance of self-confidence and autonomy. Recollect, in life as in Buddhism, it's not just about looking for outside endorsement, yet about making adjusted and deferential together connections. By adhering to these guidelines, you become an individual of incredible worth that others normally need in their lives. If somebody deals with you like a choice you have the ability to give up with adoration, your worth is verifiable and why. Our spot in the world is interesting. You should be encircled by individuals who regard and focus on your worth. Be like a peaceful priest transmitting an inward light that draws in regard and reverence from others. We've investigated significant insight, so presently it is the ideal time to assume liability and act. Which of these standards could you at any point apply today? To draw nearer to turning into the best rendition of yourself, share it with us in the remarks beneath this video. If you've come to the furthest limit of our process, compose in the remarks. I deliberately walk through my life. Share this video with your companions or family so they can likewise gain proficiency with these examples, and remember to like and buy in enacting notices so you don't miss our day-to-day lessons. Until next time, my dear companions.